Can you hear me now? Okay, so I know you have an update to give us under public comments, but I'm going to ask for any other public comments first, and then we'll circle back to you, okay? Now we can't hear you, so when it's time, we will need to hear you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Vicki.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Any public comments? Yes, Mike.
Verizon wireless cell phone service, question mark. Verizon wireless cell phone service, question mark. I'll follow up on that.
In what?
I'll follow up on that. I just think it's something that needs to be discussed as part of the service. I mean,
Eric.
Just an update. So just recently we launched well, we didn't launch, but we supported a survey by a provider basically to cover any dead spots between like Greater Wellington and in Wardsboro. They found plenty of them. So they've taken that data and are now trying to find the best spots to try to work out getting some new cell towers so that we get more coverage throughout the belt. So it's already in progress. We don't need a few weeks on that.
Yes, Mike.
I have another comment.
Yes.
So I thought a few years ago, we implemented a plan to get either reflective strips or blinking lights in the hands of the people walking the streets. And this year, like other years, there are a lot of young kids walking the streets in the dark that can't be seen. And I was thinking that maybe we could provide first, at least information within the houses of the workers, the staff workers here in town to light themselves up. And if we could somehow provide that kind of service for them,
Ryan.
Yeah, none of those workers probably work at the resort. They're J1 workers. We provide them with clips on their jacket and armbands that have reflectors on it. We did email out a policy the other day. Remind our managers to talk to their employees about the importance of them if we're walking on the side of the road and wear those.
And Mike, you're seeing them.
well, if you need help distributing them to the houses, it's not everyone that's no way.
Right. Well, it's all the J1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and even the people coming in that are visiting that are now just starting to walk the streets can somehow be enlightened that they can't see on the streets. I don't know how to do it. If it could be a public service announcement in the paper, put things on the walkways, but I think there's more we can do.
okay. And tonight's a perfect example. It's very, wet and dark and foggy in places, and it's rough. I get it. But I appreciate Mount Snow doing everything they can, because I think a fair number of them are. So I thanks for bringing it to our attention. Other comments? Okay, then I'm going to go to Tommy for a VTA update.
Yep. Thanks, Vicki. This is just a very quick update on the Ridge Trail. We are now in our kind of second round of the RFP, finishing that with the United States Forest Service. And our plan is to go to launch the RFP in March, keeping it open to July, so that all contractors have time to visit the property that are interested. And from there, it's really going to be on the United States Forest Service timeline with getting these specialists out, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes. So that's my quick update there. And we've briefly touched on another project that is statewide that we are involved in called the Velamont, which is a state-to-state kind of mountain biking trail, similar to the Long Trail for hiking or the Catamount Trail for skiing. And that project with SOVTA, as well as United States Forest Service, has had interest in that property for using the actual Ridge Trail proper, which is the phase 3 of the project that we've been working together on. And I just have a statement from our executive director, because there's been some activity on that. The United States Forest Service has met and performed a site visit with the Vielamont project coordinators to look at the feasibility of the Vielamont Trail using the Ridge Trail as part of a final trail corridor alignment. The United States Forest Service, Vielamont Trail Collective, Mount Snow, and Southern Vermont Trails Association are currently working to have this change of use approved at the United States Forest Service Spring Large Projects Review, so that a NEPA environmental review can be performed in 2023, along with all the other sections of the Vielamont corridor on United States Forest Service land from Emerald Lake State Park to the Massachusetts border. These sections of the Vielamont Trail on federal land are being funded through a $2.3 million congressional directed spending grant that is being administered by the United States Department of Agriculture and the United States Forest Service, providing a significant cost reduction on this project. So this could also benefit that phase 3 of the Ridge Trail project, which again is the top with a bog, and it's undecided how exactly that's going to be tackled. But that certainly could help us out. So I just wanted to give an update there, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of Tom while he's on the phone? On Zoom. Thank you for the update. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Dollars. All right. We're going to move on from public comments then to the assessors. We're going to discuss the 2022 equalization results, the common level of appraisal, known as the CLA, and the coefficient of dispersion, COD. Linda.
Hi, everyone. So the 22 equalization study results are in our CLA, which before I give you that number, I'll just go over that. It's determined by dividing the education grand list by the equalized education grand list. A number over 100% indicates property in Dover is generally listed for more than its fair market value. A number less than 100% indicates that property is generally listed for less than its fair market value. A CLA below 85% or over 115%, they will mandate the town reappraise. So when I should say where they have the word listed, I would insert the word assess value. I guess it depends on how you look at that. So our CLA is 81.34. So the one thing about that I will just say is I'm really glad that I pushed for us to look at getting on a calendar for reappraisal, because out of 252 towns in Vermont, 160 of those are mandated to reassess. And there's like 3 companies out there right now who are the ones that are bidding on these towns, and they're going to be, I don't know, it will be interesting how the state handles this. So the COD, it's a measure of how fairly distributed property tax is within the town. And so it's calculated, I'm reading this right from the horse's mouth, so to speak, the state, calculated as the average of the absolute difference of each sales ratio, list price divided by sales price. And that gives, in the study, from the median ratio. And then it's then divided by the median to get the ratio. So again, a high COD means that within our town, many taxpayers are paying more than their fair share. When it goes down the other way, they're paying less. And we are at 19.85 on our COD. I think it's important that we all try to really understand this process, and that when I read articles that sales are up in Vermont 20%, Dover, I've been pretty close to being right on by taking an assessed value and doubling it, and that's what it's selling for. So if you own property and you know what your value is, double it, and that's where it could possibly sell in the market right now. It has slowed down, I'm seeing a slowdown, but it has not by any means stopped. And listed and sale prices are not really coming down at all either. And the only thing that I can feasibly do, people have said, why can't you raise neighborhood? Why can't you raise this, raise that? If a sale comes in and I see that there's incorrect data, I can correct that. And that's about what I can do. If I can really prove that there's a trend, and it's not easy to prove that, I might be able to get permission from the state to make a market adjustment. Being that we are close to a reappraisal, it's going to be really hard to, be easy to raise everything and then, so I'm just putting that out there because it's been an ongoing question. So unless anyone has any questions.
Well, this is clearly a big problem around the whole entire state of Vermont, and many of our neighbors are also having this same problem. Wilmington just had a reappraisal in 2020, and they're now at 78%. So there's a lot of money being thrown at appraisers right now, and it really irks me. The state of Vermont is expending this kind of money. It seems like it's going to be on a 3 to 5 year plan versus a 10-year plan. We haven't had a reappraisal since 2010, so it has been a while. But some of these other towns are in. Our neighbors saw it. All of our neighbors saw the same trend, and this is all over the state. So I had Mike put together a few numbers that we discussed, and it's pretty alarming, some of the CLAs around our neighboring. So we're not unique. We are on the list, luckily, but I think we also need to, unless things slow down, and I think things are slowing down. I'm seeing ads with reduced property prices that run in our newspaper, reductions, which hadn't happened. Same properties being advertised over and over again now. But for the amount of money the state is going to expend and towns are going to expend doing reappraisals, this is backbreaking on the state. It's over 50% of the towns. So I don't know where it is, but I'm glad we didn't do an appraisal in 2020. And we're right back here trying to do another one. So other comments? Sarah,
Is the state do they have a time frame that they're mandating? Because obviously these towns are not going to be able to accomplish this in 2 years.
Correct. So there's not a date that they say you have to buy such and such, because of the fact that these companies are, we lost a year just because of issues going on at the time. So yeah, we're what, 26, so and that's not even.
But because we've started the process, there's not gonna be any adverse effect from the state. Because we're saying, look, we're trying,
Right.
right?
I think as long as towns that are mandated have submitted the proper form by saying this is where we're at, whatever, I don't know the exact wordage on that form. There's really nothing they can do.
Okay.
That would be extremely,
Box people in the corner.
well, it would seem like they were put a penalty on a penalty, of the cost of doing this. I mean, can you imagine? Being Wilmington situation where they just did one and now they're even further out of the guideline range than we are. We haven't done one since 2010, and as you've been saying, we needed to get one going, and we're in the process of doing it. So I think we're doing everything we can. It's a statewide problem. Yes.
Can you tell me again when we're getting 2026? When do we have this?
It'll be done for the 2026 grand list.
So it
How long it
starts.
takes.
Yeah, no, I gotta go see. Let's just see.
But it takes a lot of work, and if you're on the board at that time, you'll be attending BCA meetings weekly, if not twice a week.
Long ones.
I think they went through 400 properties in Wilmington. So it's a very seriously time-consuming process. Well, thank you for giving us that wonderful information, Linda.
Yeah.
Don't
Want to
shoot
be an
messengers.
appraiser now, sometimes just change careers. And money's not.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the unfinished business. We are going to hear from the Deerfield Valley Stump Jumpers and a response regarding the excavator use that we had authorized on Hathaway Trail. And Mike, I know you're here tonight. Talk to us about that.
I think you guys should tell me what you feel the issue is before I make a response. To the
Okay.
issue, right, there was a lot of public comment. I want to know who saw what they feel happened, and then I can respond to it.
So did you watch the meeting from when we had the discussion or no?
I do have
The minutes?
the minutes here, and I also did see in your paper that you were concerned about something with the excavator up in downtown Forest.
Well, it was brought to our attention that there was an excavator that was used in Stratton. It appeared to maybe be the same excavator that was used on the Hathaway Trail. We paid for a month of usage. In reviewing the invoices, it appeared that month of usage may have overlapped with some of the usage in Stratton. I don't know. That's why we need information.
Okay, so do you happen to have the initial invoice in front of you?
I have the whole packet of invoices. Yes. Hold on. Okay, so I have the excavator invoice. That's the one we have. We were all that, that's it,
Clear.
right there.
What's the total bill on that? 4,300?
4531.
Okay, so we received that invoice at the beginning when they dropped off the machine.
Mhm.
This is the invoice after the machine, and a few weeks later. So as you can see on the bottom, there's our $4,500 charge. And then you can see an extra week that was put on the bill for an extra $1,000.
Why are their invoices so different from 1 to 2?
Because this was given as a hard copy in the machine, and this was sent by email.
Okay. Here, Jeanette, can you make copies of this, please? so that everybody can look at it. Would some members of the public appreciate those as well? Yes, could you make some extras?
So,
Yes.
okay,
please.
sorry. So the rental was actually for 5 weeks, not 4. And 1 week of that time was in Stratton and 4 weeks of that time was in Dover. So it was here for 4 weeks.
Actually, it took more than 4 weeks because BTA was so kind to give it back to us when we had the problem up on Hathaway Trail. And we had to clean material and do extra work. When
Is this-
snow came in.
So this is the work you did or the work that Travis did
We worked together with Travis.
with 2 different machines? Because I was not aware of that.
We came in with our excavator to dig out the mud.
Okay.
It's so easy.
So the excavator is here for 5 weeks. It started here on 9/28, the rental start date. So it was here for basically the entire month of October. So the SOBTA newsletter that I had been copied on said that dated Sunday, October 9th, said that we plan to have the large excavator do the initial grading and groundwork prep for the parking lot at the end of the month, at the end of October, that would mean end of month. Thanks to Deerfield Valley Stump Jumpers Snowmobile Club. They have been a huge help on this project. So the week that it was in Stratton was in November. I don't know. I'm asking, people ask questions.
By the end of the month, it went there. They paid for a week of the machine use. Did it come out of you guys? You got a great deal on a machine. You got $4,000. You got a 20,000 pound machine for $4,000. That's $200 a day. You're not going to find a better deal than that. We did great work up there. We came in and we did extra work. I have more bills here where we came in with $900 worth of material to rebuild Hathaway Trail that we never even gave it to you. We were also accused of billing you on gasoline, diesel at $5.25 a gallon, where we paid $6.69 a gallon to fill our tank with the same diesel. I don't know why they're getting micromanaged.
Well, so if you paid that price, why wasn't that on the invoice? I mean,
I gave you $13,000 worth of invoice.
that's,
We only got $10,000 in money. Why is the discrepancy here?
well, I thought that the invoice was rather weird for the diesel. Now you bring it up because it was an invoice generated from the Deerfield Valley Stump Jumpers to the town of Dover.
Correct, because you have our own tank.
So you sell, you provide, then you sold it to us.
Yeah, I sell it to you, I use it. I sell it to you.
Okay, all right.
It's expensive.
I mean, this was an invoice, obviously you guys made up, so I wasn't sure.
And here,
I think it's just that we had questions from the public and we couldn't answer those questions.
That's fine.
And so it makes sense for us to micromanage, to respond to those questions.
that shows that we paid $6.69 gallon to fill up our tank right after the rental.
So I guess I'm going to ask the members of the public, are they satisfied with this documentation? Does anybody want to see the design item or a diesel delivery on 11/15/2022? Rate is $6.59. 370 gallons. Anybody have any questions about this? Does somebody want to see this particular document?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you come down? Thank you.
Feel like in a court.
Mhm.
Just a small issue.
Yes,
This could very easily have been brought to the Trails and Rec Committee, who could sat down and shown this without a problem. The fact that they came here and you didn't send it back down to Eric, I don't know why.
So- I get that. I understand that. But when a member of the public is questioning things, we're here to hear what the question is. We were not aware of this situation until it was really brought to our attention. So we didn't have any answers on, I mean, we're not going to shut just people up and say, no, no, no. We listened and we didn't have answers. So now one of those members has got his hand up. So Jim, would you like to say something?
Maybe jumping ahead a little. But my assumption is they have some form of 501c corporation. And are also taxed then. And I'm wondering why there was sales tax paid on some of these invoices.
Are you a 501 type?
So, just so you know, that sales tax thing is very hard to get accomplished. It doesn't work on rental equipment. It works on hard goods, some hard goods like the pipes that we got from you guys. So it doesn't work on the excavator tax. Believe me, if we could save money, we could do everything else out of it.
Jim?
From the switch from W&W, there was sales tax on those items.
That's because you have to file with the state a separate account. It's not as easy as, it's not, I'm not the accountant for it. Well, we've tried many times to get rid of sales tax. It's not that easy.
So the town doesn't have to pay sales tax. So we're used to dealing.
Put it on your account.
Well, we don't pay tax on diesel as well. So there are real advantages of working directly with the town. So if you are, I mean, and we would want to, I assume if you have the right documentation, you do not have to pay the sales taxes. So
My account, Marco, is that a good?
well, it's actually, Jeanette does a lot of the work, just if we see invoices all the time where sales tax is incorrectly added and it's marked off and we don't pay it. So.
Save on sales tax, believe me, I see how much diesel we go through in a given year.
Mhm.
It's just a diesel. I mean,
Yes.
I was on along with, but I think you were at the meeting when the initial meeting, remember what did we get for 10,000? Then when said I got an excavator, I know a little bit about the business, I'm not an expert. But I figured we got 370 gallons used. Again, it goes back, the machine uses, if you're running hard, you're gonna get 3 hours. You're gonna get like between 1.5 and 3 gallons an hour. So it's just a lot of, like, just as the public, like, what was the time in Dover? And what was the time when it wasn't here? And if you rent something for a month, that's a lot of work that the machine. Like if you can condense it to 2 weeks because your operator is not full time, it was in Dover for 2 weeks. Then just condense it and you turn and you turn the machine. That's just how it goes. But if you're using 370 gallons for a machine, if you run it hard, you're gonna use 3 gallons an hour. A lot of hours for that job. Now we know we have to go and clean up a mess that was there. But still, it just doesn't add up. And then when you have receipts for, like, I think someone bought some gloves. Like, when you play gloves for people, like, I mean, winter gloves, those are like we bought the thing to spread the seed or whatever. That's fine. But we should be paying for gloves. I mean, snowmobile gloves. Like, that's in our purview. But 10,000 is a lot. That's a lot of money.
And if you have invoices, that's great, but we need the receipts. Like you need receipts, you know, like the rental contract, if you're gonna rent the machine, which is the gentleman provided it, you get the first contract. They put a hold, when you return it, then they figure out the math, either 5 weeks, 6 weeks a day, and they work off the hold. But if you're gonna get reimbursed, you need receipts, like if it's the hay, what did, like it's like you paid this $5.50 for hay as it's signed off. Who paid, you know, the cash, the card, but there's an invoice and a receipt, like the world done, probably go by receipts, we don't get paid. That's just figured out. So yes, I was concerned, but I'm still concerned. And if you're gonna buy gas from yourself and sell it to yourself, why are you doing this? Let's put it out to bid.
Yeah, we're learning, we're
Like,
definitely
if you get it done in a week, you're reading your out.
we're learning.
Look at the receipts, the machine was booked on the 20th, it showed up on the 28th to Wilmington. It was gone at the beginning of November, culverts are being bought in October. You know, you condense your time, the machines here, we have the material, we have the culverts, we bang it out, we're done. But in the middle of the job, if you have to get stuff, it's stretching everything out. Time is money. And I'm not judging anybody, but going forward, like, you just don't want to go down that road.
Mike,
Those are my concerns.
do you have a,
I just want to clarify, you now build for 370 gallons, you go for 200 and some odd gallons. 240, right, 12 gallons a day.
For 20 days, which would be probably 100 hours on the machine if you run it how it should be run. If you run it hard, you're gonna get 3 hours a gallon. That's 80. You run it easy, because it has a 10% factor for the heat on, you're gonna get 120. So if there was 120 hours here, tell me, that's all I'm saying. But I know the machine, I run the machine.
okay. So is there any other documentation that you can provide the members of the public so that they feel that they understand the costs that were involved? And you have, I mean, obviously you buy gas from NIDA, diesel to put in your tank. And then you sold it back to us for a lesser rate, which is nice. I don't know what we were paying for diesel at that time, but I don't know where we go from here on this, besides the fact it's a learning experience. Clearly, all this trail work is becoming more and more complicated, involved, time consuming, at times contentious, and we need to figure things out. And I don't think that we just look at Eric, he's doing the best he can with economic development. This trail, the whole overview of trails is just mushroomed into a topic for every single meeting. And I am looking forward to suggestions on how we move this so that it is more streamlined, done smarter, and done so that everybody, we use expertise of people, and so that we don't show up in these meetings all the time, because this is exhausting to go through this. And I don't want it to be the Spanish Inquisition. I don't want that to be the case. But clearly there's a need and a desire to have more recreation. We need to figure out the right way to do it, to protect the money of the town, to improve trails, build trails, and do it so that everybody is happy. And right now we are not in a happy place. So that's just my feeling, and I'm looking for ideas on how we do that forward. And I don't think that it should be our economic development department that has to take on this gigantic role. They can oversee the top of it, but we need to have other safeguards and checks and balances. Dan first.
Not seeing the bill, is there labor costs in this?
Lenny,
Zero labor cost.
zero labor.
Then it's a good deal. If
Okay,
you put it out to bid, you're gonna spend a fortune in labor costs.
other comments? Okay, Linda?
I just have a question. So the $10,000 initially came out of economic development money? I guess just in my understanding as a town resident, at what point does spending a chunk of money like that, like you obviously take it to the board and get the okay. At what point does it go before the town? Is there like a,
For a $10,000 expenditure?
or is there any kind of a limit to say, well, that's too much, you need to call a emergency town meeting or whatever? That even, I'm just curious, because it's been asked to me, well, why were they given $10,000? You know, I mean,
We have an economic development budget, which includes some of these things.
Right.
So that under this kind of purchasing situation, it would $10,000 to the stump jumpers to maintain a trail that's already existing that the town owns is not something that we would have done. Eric,
And just so there's a few common misconceptions that are economic development, so saving $10,000 to stump jumpers or anybody else does nothing to your tax. Okay, this money is all coming out of that,
Right.
well, 1%. Just wanted to get that back out on the table, something I hear constantly. We are, you know, Vicky has said it, it's a learning experience, right? So as we're moving through these things, we'll have discussions about what the threshold is going to be, put things out to bid. You know, Mike was honestly the first person to come through this, you know, like this new process that we have. And we obviously learned a lot of things coming through. Right, so we will make changes to that and adapt that to fit a way to make it better. But like Becky said, I mean, trails is literally supposed to be one of the arms or legs of economic development. And it's literally turned into the whole thing. And we're having trouble advancing other programs, coming up with new programs because of all the fires we end up putting out when it comes to this trail stuff. So we're trying really hard. We're gonna take lumps, right? Like we've never done this stuff before for the most part. So we're gonna take these lumps, we're gonna learn these lessons, and we're gonna come out on the other side better for it. And hopefully in the process, we'll have some really awesome things in.
yes,
I couldn't, like, as far as the end, like, 100% do not agree. Because you can't just say that we do it for us. That's why we have to put it out to bid. Then we know. I mean, Tim Snow lived, you know, he was involved because he's a contractor, sure he had to bid. And I'm sure it came out better than up in his first time, and it was a mess. But if you're gonna spend 13,000 plus the material that we shipped there and everything. You know, if you booked it early, maybe you guys could do it for 7, and with that much more head, they could still keep the 10, and you can get more bang for your buck. But you can't just say a blanket statement, 10,000, because you don't know. That's just not true. Because you don't know. You put it out the bid. It's back.
other comments?
I'm just gonna keep the motion.
Andy,
Vicky, so very briefly, you know, I think it was a very civil discussion. I think the situation is infinitely more transparent than it was at your last meeting. And I think that's basically because of Keith raising his questions. And I want to thank him for that. I want to thank everybody for being civil about it. And I appreciate the process. It's difficult.
thank you. Tommy?
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to put on the record that as one of the organizations that was kind of had the finger pointed at, we were never contacted. And if there's ever a question where you think we're doing something unscrupulous, even though we may have some disagreements on things, I think we have pretty good open line of communication. Whether it's me and the board directly, through Sarah, Vicky, and also through Eric. Please know that it's you can certainly just shoot me an email or give me a call and say, did you pay for an excavator or not?
Fair enough. All right. The members of the public. I agree with Andy's that it is, we understand more about what happened. Again, we're trying to get our arms and legs around all of this overarching trail development, which is also eating up the select board meetings. And we have a lot of other, we have a budget to put together. And we have a lot of other things we need to work on, so. We are planning to put programs in place that will make it much more controlled, and receipts will be detailed, and we will have that kind of situation moving forward. But again, we need, it's eating up our economic development office's time, 100%. I mean, this is overwhelming. And there's other things that they should be working on as well. So we need to figure things out, and we're working on it. But we also need to move on. So is everybody all right for tonight? All right. Next, we are going to revisit the parking lot agreement for 171 and 183 Route 100, known as the parking lots at the bottom of Forest Hill and the one up by Dover Park. Are we going to talk about both of them? Have we heard anything?
I have not. I reached out to Rich last week. I know his provider was with COVID last week, so I think it was somewhat unreachable. I did not get a chance to get those numbers from Rich before tonight's meeting. And in my last conversation with him, there was a thought that possibly the select board could, approve up to a certain amount that could be addressed once we do have some numbers. Last communication.
When was that?
Last week.
What time? What the
Monday.
beginning of the week or the end of the week?
I emailed Tuesday. And I had heard back yesterday that he's been trying to get off of it. And that was after a discussion. We had a discussion the day after the last select board meeting on.
Sarah.
I had a conversation with his provider, and he has not provided the numbers to Rich Kaplan.
Okay.
So that's. I just confirmed that tonight.
So I think that we're gonna have plenty of meetings here that we can approve this at any time.
Okay.
I think we just need to know what he wants. And what and we want to consider if that's fair. And I don't think that there's any disagreement that we shouldn't compensate for plowing of the parking lot at the bottom of Forest Hill.
Right, but
No.
yeah, I don't think
No.
there's any debate about whether or not it's figuring out the number and making it appropriate.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna plow the bottom of Forest Hill. As a board, we can. Our recommendation, at least my recommendation, my personal recommendation would be a 50-50 split, because he has his building and then the parking. So whatever Rich. Okay, let's go ahead and say.
Sarah.
I was just gonna say, Rich hasn't given him a breakdown of what each parking lot costs. He just has a total figure. So Rich Kaplan can't tell us what 50% of the number is, because he doesn't know the individual number for that lot.
Dan.
Are we plowing by the 10 o'clock?
We have never plowed Town Park, and we
We don't.
are not counting. We have never plowed either of these parking lots. However,
Although we don't have usage in winter for the town park, so why would?
we're not
Right.
gonna plow it. We haven't plowed it. We have not plowed
That's
either
where
of
the
these
discussion
lots.
is. Yeah.
Right now, we're looking to find out how much Rich would like us to pay based on what his plowing charges are for the one at the bottom of Forest Hill.
Okay.
Yes,
As
Joe.
I was saying. We need to figure out the numbers like Sarah said, but does it make logical sense? So that he can go back when Rich speaks to him, that we as a board are willing to expend 50% of the fee, because obviously there's a road that goes in. There's plowing on one side that he'll have to take care of for 171, and then a little bit for a Forest Hill area. Does that make logical sense? Obviously, we don't know the number, we don't know the breakdown. Wouldn't that be some sort of agreement, or is there some sort of other thing, so we can at least move past what our expectation is Or is someone thinking something different?
Sarah,
I want to know the number and then discuss. I don't think it's an unreasonable suggestion, but I want to know the number before
Okay,
we go back. I don't think that's unreasonable
Okay.
either.
so we didn't talk about anything. Tell Rich we can do anything.
Well, Rich will know exactly what I discussed, because it's
I know,
in the
but-
paper.
But I hear what you're saying, but this way here it could be resolved and we do not need to bring it up again. Eric would just be bringing up that they figured out whatever numbers. And this is what we're going to pay. We're going to bring this up again.
yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
because Joe, we don't have a figure.
I know we
So-
don't have a.
If he says, oh, it's gonna cost $10,000 to plow that, okay, here's 5,000. I mean, I don't, that. It's the other piece of the information that I know Rich Kaplan's been trying to get, but because of circumstances that didn't happen. He's probably paid for this plowing already, so, because that's how Rich does his plowing usually in advance.
Rich Warren.
Yes, Rich Warner does, so you pay for a contract year. So we would be reimbursing, so I don't see that we have to. It's, once we get the figure, we'll make a decision.
Let's move on to this.
Okay, thank you. New business, we're going to consider authorizing the chair to sign the notice of intent for the municipal roads general permit. Is that a mouthful or what? So this, did you have the pre-filled out one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking forward. Currently this general permit was reissued December 1st and it goes into effect January 26th of 2023. Municipalities are required to reapply for coverage by January 26th.
So it's the Vermont Department Watershed Management Division.
So
I remember signing this in the past. Plus, we get to add a $640 check.
And then there's $640 a check. I don't know what that's for, but.
So,
all right, well, then I make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign the notice of intent for the municipal roads general permit.
Second,
any discussion? All in favor?
And then we have the other one.
Mhm. Okay,
Who's the check read out to?
the Vermont Water
Watershed.
It's
It's through.
the
Program.
Vermont Watershed Management Division Stormwater Management Program. 1 minute National Life Lane, Montpelier, Vermont. Okay, and then the other one is the Public Water System Official Contact Form. So this is more,
And this is only because we've changed operators when Steve Bartlett stepped down or retired. So Ian Schroff is stepping in to do that. And normally, this was a question also, because normally for the last 10 years at least, I have signed the monthly water reports that go to the state. So I signed this one too and sent it in. And they said, no, this, at first she said, oh, that's okay. And, but then she came back to me and said, no, they really need a town official to sign this. So being either a select board member, a mayor, or. Sorry, said to throw that in.
huh?
Who's
It's an inside joke.
But
We had an email address mayor of Vermont.
No, that's just, I'm basically switching over so that Ian is now, our. That's basically what this is doing. I still do sign the monthly.
So this one does not have any money attached to it.
Yeah, it's just, this is just naming.
Yes.
It's just making.
If somebody want to make a motion to approve the change in the contract.
I make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign the public water systems officials contact form naming Ian Schraff as the
Pro tem mayor.
system operator.
It's a
System operator. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No more mayor. I didn't even get the email. It went to like a spam mailbox.
It regrets to make Dover contact.
We don't have that
That's
email.
why I get those.
No,
If anything is, if it's a weird email, that I apparently, yeah,
you get,
but it did go there as well. So, yeah.
all right. And we have now done the new business. Now we're moving on to the economic development second quarter update.
Been told to move up because otherwise I'm not here.
Okay.
So, quarter two, so. 1% revenue, 56,807.49, down 36% over 2021, down 9% over 2020, and down 29% from 2019. So I reached out to the state again, given that our first quarter payment was 374% higher than it ever had been, and received again the response that it is correct. Not a lot of other information to be shared other than that, based on the returns they process, that amount is correct.
Who do you talk to? Says it's correct. Is there a person?
I can get you the name. I don't
I
have it.
want all that information. I want to call
Okay,
them. I do.
absolutely. You're.
Watch it, have to turn half of 377,000 back.
Well, I'm just going to call because there should be more information than.
It's based on the confidentiality of the program that they don't share. Like what the returns are. It's part of us agreeing to be a part of the 1% program. We don't love it, obviously. I would love a little more transparency as to where that money is coming from or not. However, they just can't provide us with answers. It was similar when I asked about that huge increase, and they said, we can't tell you why it happened, only that it is correct. I will get you the contact information and you can give it a correct
Next time.
next time. Any questions on that?
No,
So if you took the incredible overage and the under,
Yeah. That's a pretty.
Fiscal, yeah, we're still up.
we're still way.
That's-
Yeah.
That payment we received in the first quarter was the second largest payment we've ever received in the history of Congress. So that coupled with, I mean, I understand that this is down, but we're still up.
This is down 36, but that was up 374%.
I can get you an analysis, right? At the next meeting, I'll let you guys know,
Right.
okay, based on prior years, we're here.
yeah, year to dates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
DASP reimbursements, 5,422.61 fiscal year to date, that's 53% of the budget. Pretty much right where we want to be anyway with that. Clue 11 out of 15 projects completed. One additional project that we approved is being completed in phases, which we're working out with the business owner. Dover Technical Assistance Program had one of the 3 projects that were approved, completed for reimbursement to date. Side note, there is a ton of interest in that program now that people understand that it happened and they missed it. So that's why we kept the line item in the budget for the next year. So just a recap of the joint select board meeting we had in Wilmington, and Eat Sleep Shop Local started on this, the beginning of the month and is now over. We're collecting everything and hoping to get you some data on that shortly. This is the second year that the Dover business has participated. Events, Wine and Harvest, Wildlife Festival, and Carnage Con all took place. Rebate has been submitted for Wine and Harvest only at this point, and we're in contact with all the other event providers to get those closed out. Concerts, open mic nights have happened twice a month since September and will continue through the winter. And then Kevin Perry is beginning the 2023 concert booking process for us. The new seasonal banners were purchased in September. They started with the fall foliage ones and are now on the snowmen, which we put up in mid-November. Then as the snow melts and trees or the leaves come back, we'll hang up our spring summer banners around April.
So on the banners,
Yes,
I have to say, Sarah was right. The writing for the town, the font is bad.
Yep.
Dover's legible because we're 5 letters.
Right.
Wilmington is illegible.
It's a scribble.
You know, sometimes everything nice and new is fancy, but you can't read what Wilmington, you can't read the word Wilmington, and I know it's Wilmington.
Yeah,
So,
I understand. And then unfortunately, you know, as we reviewed those, you know, what we were looking at, obviously on a computer screen didn't translate fully into what you're looking at 20 feet up on a pole. So
live and learn, right?
yeah, live and learn, again, lessons learned. You know, we decided to go with a banner for that piece that, you know, wouldn't last as long as the other banners we had, because we knew that eventually with the cohesive signage program that we've discussed and will continue to discuss, that we could end up working, you know, away from those eventually anyway. That was to match the marketing program that we were running. And I think it does match that, but I definitely, you're not the first person to express your thoughts on that.
I feel lucky because Dover, you can
It's a short
read,
name.
you can read, but Wilmington with all those letters, no.
But on the plus side, lots of compliments on our seasonal banners that are exclusive to Dover, so we're very happy with those.
Just make a note when they redo them,
Yeah, and we may open that process up
new font.
a little more as well for review at that point. So in the last quarter, I went and spoke at the Vermont State Housing Conference and also the local BDCC Housing Conference about our initiatives for the Bytown Housing Committee and the things that we've been working on there. So those are really positive events for us to be a part of, and it's good to be sharing our information with people and let people know what we're doing, because you know, it lets us know that we're actually ahead of the game, you know, over a lot of other towns in the state who are really just starting to have the initial conversation. So I think it's a positive experience for us to be there to share our experiences with that. And then as far as trails goes, the sign and plaque for Phil up at the town forest installed in October. We had the RFPs for Horse Hill and disc golf, successful in Horse Hill and committed to Sinuosity. We've reopened that disc golf request. And at this point already have more responses than we did the first time around. That closes January 13th. On the back is our budget and year to date. And then just as another side note, we did send you an updated full budget with our actuals, and we waited until the last check run because that was when we paid out on the Bytown marketing. We want to make sure that was included in the actuals as well. So the budget has been updated with that year to date for your reference. Any questions on anything I just talked about a little bit? I just feel like I moved through it.
Comments from the public?
Good work, Aaron.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks Shannon for helping out with that too. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. We need to approve the minutes of December 20th and December 30th. And December 20th, we'll have to do these separately.
Yeah, everyone was there for December.
And we had 3 people for December.
So,
So I make a motion that we approve the minutes of December 20th, 2022.
Any changes, corrections? All in favor? Aye. These 2, you guys were there too. 5, yeah, okay.
Motion to approve the minutes of December 30th, 2022.
Second.
Any changes, corrections?
Inviting.
No, no, there's only. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we have FYI, we have a budget meeting tomorrow right here, 2 o'clock. And that should go for, we have a lot to discuss, and I would anticipate an executive session at the end as well. And then the planning commission meets January 9th at 6:30. Girls and Rec meets January 10th at 6:30. And the town report submissions are due January 13th at 5 p.m. Yes.
I'd like to add to the FYI, open mic is the 11th next week, next Wednesday. Be there.
Okay. And do we have any liaison reports?
We had a resignation that affected the assessor and fire department.
We did. Or is it public?
There's no.
No, it is, yeah, I mean,
Now,
it was, no, I mean, the letter was submitted. So, yeah,
So
so we need.
our new hire has resigned.
Give it like 2:30 today.
Today. So do we have a letter
Yep,
No, we have an email.
we have an email.
you know.
effective immediately?
At the end of this week.
Do- So Danette, have you received that letter?
No,
Okay,
I was made aware.
Linda,
I was going to address that in part of the executive session, just because I'm thinking that was, is that an acceptable an email? Is that acceptable for somebody to email and say,
They're done.
this is what I'm doing?
She's saying, can we accept an email as a resignation?
I will forward it to all of you, because it only went to 2 board members.
Correct.
I forwarded it to Jeanette already.
and then it needs to be, we need to read it into the record, so we have it. Were you surprised?
In some ways, but there was definitely another position offered at no competition as far as money offered, so. It's like, what are you gonna do? You know?
Okay,
I just forwarded it to the rest of the board.
Excuse me.
I forwarded it to the rest of the board
Oh, okay.
and to Jeanette.
Everybody wanted to do that.
no, I think I'd like to read it and understand the whole situation a little. Usually this doesn't come up right in the liaison reports or
Yeah, I understand.
it's okay. All right, well, that's disappointing. And we will address it at the next meeting, not tomorrow. We need to go into executive session for personnel with Linda. So I would make a motion, I will adjourn the regular meeting at 7:33 and we will go into executive session for personnel with Linda. Which was on.